Take a look around the room you're in right now. Chances are you're just a few feet away from an electrical outlet. We use them every single day without even thinking about it. But have you ever stopped to consider the incredibly complex rules that make them safe? There's literally a hidden code inside your walls. And today, we're going to crack it open. I mean, think about it. We plug everything in, our phones, our laptops, our entire lives really, and we just trust that it's going to work. But what exactly are we trusting? It's not some kind of magic, and it's definitely not just dumb luck.
Well, that trust is built on something called the National Electrical Code, or NEC for short. You can think of it as the official rulebook for all things electrical safety here in the US. This is the document that turns a simple hole in the wall into a safe, reliable source of power. And just so we're on the same page as we go through this, you'll hear me say receptacle. That's just the official, kind of nerdy code speak for what you and I call an outlet.
All right, so where do we even begin with all this? Let's start with the absolute golden rule of outlet safety. This is the foundation for everything else, so let's check it out.
Okay, here it is, straight from the source. It sounds a little dense, but think of it this way. You wouldn't try to haul a ton of bricks in a little red wagon, right? It's the same exact idea. The outlet has to be tough enough for the job you're asking it to do.
And to really get that, you've got to understand what a branch circuit is. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like plumbing. Your home's wiring is a network of pipes. A single circuit, that's one of those pipes. The ampere rating is basically the size of the pipe, and the electrical current is the water. You just can't force a fire hose worth of water through a tiny garden hose without causing a huge messy problem. It's the exact same for electricity.
All right, now here's where it gets interesting. Did you know the rules actually change depending on whether an outlet is all by itself on a circuit or if it's part of a group? Yeah, let's break that down.
So you've got two main situations. On one hand, you have a single dedicated outlet for a big appliance, like an electric stove. The rule there is super simple. The outlet's rating has to match the circuit's rating. So a 30-amp circuit gets a 30-amp outlet. Easy. But for a circuit with a bunch of outlets, like in your living room or kitchen, the rules are way more flexible. And that's where these special tables in the code come into play.
And you know the code is just incredibly detailed. It's got special rules for literally everything. Even lamp holders on high-power circuits. It really shows you how thorough this thing is. But for now, let's get back to the outlets we use every day.
Okay, so how does this all play out in the real world? We're about to look at the exact tables electricians use to make sure our homes are safe. This is where all that theory becomes practice.
So let's put this in a real-world context. Think about your kitchen. Most modern kitchens have 20-amp circuits running to the counters. So if you've got several outlets there for your toaster, your blender, your coffee maker, what kind of outlet is actually allowed to be installed there? What does the code say?
And this table from the NEC gives us our first big clue. Check it out. If you look at the row for a 20-amp circuit, you see something really interesting. You're allowed to install either a 15-amp or a 20-amp receptacle.
And this is a huge aha moment for a lot of people. You might think, hey, 20-amp circuit, it's got to have a 20-amp outlet. But nope. The code allows for those standard 15-amp outlets we see everywhere. But why? Well, it's because the code is smart. It knows that on a kitchen counter, you're probably going to be plugging in multiple smaller things, not one giant power-sucking machine. This built-in flexibility is really a key part of the code's design.
But hold on, we're not done yet. Installing the right outlet is only half the story. The NEC also has rules about what you can actually plug into it.
This second table shows us the next layer of safety. Now look closely. A 15-amp receptacle is limited to a 12-amp load, and a 20-amp receptacle is capped at 16 amps. That's not a typo, it is a critical built-in safety buffer.
So, let's put all the pieces together. It's like a three-step process. First, you figure out your circuit rating, the wires in the wall. That tells you what kind of receptacle you're allowed to install. And then, the receptacle's rating tells you the maximum load you can safely plug in. See? It's a chain of safety, all spelled out right there in the code.
Okay, so we've seen all these numbers, these tables, but why? Why these specific limits? Well, it all comes down to creating this really robust, multi-layered system of protection.
Yeah, these numbers are not arbitrary. They weren't just picked out of a hat. They are the result of decades of experience and testing, all designed with one goal in mind, to protect you and your home. And what are the ultimate goals here? They're simple, but they are absolutely vital. First, Prevent the wiring in your walls from getting overloaded. Second, stop those wires from overheating. And third, by doing those two things, you drastically reduce the risk of an electrical fire.
Just think about that 12-amp limit on a standard 15-amp outlet for a second. That 20% safety margin? That's what makes sure the cord on your lamp or your phone charger never tries to pull more electricity than it can safely handle. So the code isn't just protecting the wires inside the wall, it's protecting the very appliance cord you hold in your hand every single day.
So the next time you go to plug something in, just take a second to appreciate that invisible system that's working around the clock to keep you safe. It's a pretty cool reminder that our world is just full of these hidden codes, these invisible systems, all just waiting for us to get curious and explore them. Makes you wonder, what else is out there?